Welcome to my channel Shanti. Last class we are seeing the overloading with polymorphism concept with function overloading and overriding. What is polymorphism, overloading and overriding? Today we are going to see about function overriding. What is function overriding under the concept of inheritance? Okay. You know what is an inheritance? Same class name. What is the inheritance concept? Inheriting the base class properties in the derived class function. In the derived class, which is called as inheritance. So what is the base class properties? What is the base class? What is derived class? Base class means first class is called as parent class is called as base class. Derived class is called as subclass. Okay. Today we are going to see the syntax of creating inheritance. Syntax of creating inheritance concept. Syntax of creating inheritance concept. What is the syntax of creating inheritance concept? Class name, class parent class name, class parent class name, colon, overriding, pub mode, access mode, access modifier, access mode or access modifier, what is called as derived class name. Derived class name. What is called as class parent class name, access modifier, derived class name. This is your syntax of creating inheritance concept. Inheritance, we have to create an inheritance concept under this parent class. This is your derived class name. Under this one colon, we have called as access modifier. What is an example? What is an example of creating inheritance concept? Class name is A, parent class name, public B, public B. Open bracket, closing bracket. So what is can you able to understand this example? Class, this is A is your parent class name, B is called as derived class name. This is your called as public is called as mode, access modifier. Access colon is called as access modifier. Public, private and protected. You have called as public, private and protected. You have public means you have to access in any class. In any class you can access. In any class you can able to access in any class. Private means within a class only you can able to access. Protected means within a class only you can able to access. We have a chart also called as public, private and access modifier. Public means here public, private, protected. Public means accessible to all class. Public, private to private is accessible within a class only accessible. Protected to accessible. Public to private is not accessible. Public to protected is not accessible. Private to public accessible. Within a class only accessible. Private to private accessible. Protected to protected is not accessible. So public to public means accessible to all class. Private means within a class to access. Protected means within a class you can able to access it. So here what is the syntax of creating inheritance concept? Class is called as parent class name, access modifier, derived class name. What is an example of class? Class name A is called as your parent class name. This is your parent class name. This is called as parent class name. B is called your derived class name. Called as derived class name. This is called as access modifier. Okay. Make a note of it. This is very important concept in C, C++ and Java. Both three languages is important concept in inheritance concept. Make a note of it. Syntax is called as, we can make a note of it. With following the syntax, we can create an example of this one. Let us see the full program of this, creating how to create an example of this one. Access modifier and creating this one. Example of inheritance. Example of inheritance concept. Example of inheritance concept. Class name. Class name you have to give printf void add of, void show of. You have to giving the function name printf show show called. You give the one statement called as printf statement using chemicals, closing the bracket with semicolon. With semicolon. Make a syntax of this: class, class name, closing bracket, semicolon, and class, class name, parent class name, colon, public A, closing bracket, close. This is your example of creating inheritance concept. Class, class name, parent class name, and direct class name is called as B, and colon, public A. You are deriving the base class properties of from the deriving the base class from the base class. You are deriving the base class called as A, which is called as from to the derived class. You are inheriting all the properties from the base class to the derived class, which is called as inheritance concept. Make a note of it. Class, class name, semicolon. Inside you can give any functions, but in here also you can also create any functions. You can create functions also, but I am not creating any functions, but just giving the clue for you. Easy magic clue of you. Class, class name, base class name, inheriting. I am creating one function and closing the bracket. And here I am opening the another class, creating another class called as public A. I am deriving a class process A. I am creating another class called as void show of int A, printf show with one argument, closing the right, closing bracket. This is I am closing the function. I am closing the bracket. Now I am creating the main function. In the main function, I am going to create the main function. I am going to creating the main function called as void main. I am going to create the main function called as void main function. In the main function, I am creating what I am doing: show called, show of function called, and show of tutorial. I am creating this. What happened now? Now make a note of it. What happened now? Both two functions in the one function in the base class and another function in the same function name within the derived class. Now what function? Which function will be called? Now you have to giving the function with two arguments. What happened? Which function will be called? What is the output of this one? Output of this one: show called, show with one argument called. Show called, show with one argument called. Show with one argument called. One argument called. Here make a note of it. Class void show of means show of. He was just giving the show of means what happened? Just show only called. Show called only. Now what happened? Show called. Having another creating function void show of. Another function you created here. Void show of printf derived class. Derived class. Closing the bracket here, closing. Now creating the show of function, what happens? Which function will be called? In base class function called, same for function created in derived class also. What happens? Which function will be called? Base class or derived class? Now creating an object for this class name, object name dot show of function. What happened? Object name dot function, class name, object name dot show of function. Which function will be called? Derived class. What is the output of this one? Output of this one, which is called as, what is the output of this one? Derived class. What is the output? Because which is created here is derived class. Okay? Which is called as, here we are creating called as derived class. Because what is how to call the function in inheritance concept means making a syntax how to calling the function in the derived class. How to call the function in the main function in the derived class means the making note of the class name, object name. What is the syntax? Class name, object name. Semicolon. Class name, object. That's why I given class name is the derived class name I am giving. Class name, object name. Object name, any name given, you can give the any name you can give. Maybe that is user defined name only, you can give any name. Object name dot membership property. This is dot is called as membership property. This is called as object name v1. Show of is your show function name. Make a note of it. Please, any doubts means comments in the description box. I can clarify your doubts. Please subscribe my channel. I can then only I can put more videos to you. Okay. Thank you. Next time we will see detailed example of inheritance. Thank you.